Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Pittsburgh Sports Castle Podcast. This week we have another special guest joining the show. We've been teasing it for a couple weeks now. So if you guessed right, the guesses were she is a Pitt women's soccer goalkeeper. So today we have Catherine Robinson from Pitt women's soccer joining us to just talk about the year, talk about the season, and all the chaos that really was 2020. So sit back, enjoy the show, and here is my conversation with Cat Robinson. Enjoy. All right. Well, on the show today, we have a very special guest. We have Cat Robinson, who right when we started, I accidentally called her Kate Robinson, and we have decided there are too many K names, so I need to talk to Randy Waldrum about his recruiting method with these names. But Kat, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am excited to have you. I was looking at, talking to Corey about who can I get, and he was like, everyone's basically available. And I was like, can I just have everyone then?
Yes.
I was like, let's start with some people and then we'll keep it rolling. But you guys deserve all the coverage because first off, you're badass women playing great soccer.
Yes.
And you guys are just so likable. You guys are awesome. And I mean, women's soccer needs to be put on the map more here in Pittsburgh, but that is a topic we'll get into a little bit later because I can't wait to get your thoughts on that.
Yes.
But for those who are maybe hearing about Pitt women's soccer and Cat Robinson for the first time, she is a goalkeeper for Pitt. This was your third season for Pitt. First season as the starter. We'll just kind of jump into it. Let's go back a minute to the off season, and you played under Amaya Pena for 2 years. What did you learn from her, and what advice did you get from her when heading into this season?
The thing that I loved most about Amaya, and I miss that girl so much, but when I first came in as a puny little freshman, I was terrified, right? I'm coming to Pennsylvania, which is halfway across the country, and I'm like, wow, this older girl is in front of me, this junior, like this is crazy, or the senior. And she was just actually such like a mother figure to me. She was so supportive in any way. Like if I had to step in for her for like a half or a game, like she was right by my side. And I learned actually so much confidence from her, and she controlled the field, which is a huge thing, I think, for women's goalkeepers. Is like, that's something that all of us need to work on, is just like controlling the field, controlling your box. And like, I think that's what I most learned from her. She was so confident and brave, and it's carrying on into my next upcoming seasons. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course we'll talk about you, but how cool is it that she got signed with Athletic Club in Spain? Like, do you still follow up with her and, keep in touch? Do you guys ever kind of shoot ideas off back and forth to each other?
Yes, 100%. I'll text her once in a while. She'll call me and be like, oh, I heard this, and this, like, tell me how this is going. Like, the great job, I saw this save, and like vice versa. I mean, she got to start in a game, which is big time for her. Like, that's insane. I was so proud of her. And I watched her game and like kind of bounced off like what went good and what went bad. And like, that even helps translating to games like coming up for the both of us, I think.
Yeah, that's huge. And, one thing that you just mentioned there in your first answers, there were a lot of times where, Amaya would start the game and you would come in and maybe finish out 30, 20, 10 minutes or so. Mm-hmm. How much did that help you going into this season where it wasn't just like you're only getting minutes in practice, you're actually getting game time experience instead of just being like, yep, we're going to throw her to the wolves?
Right. Yeah, I think game time experience is the biggest thing, especially for goalkeepers. Like, you can do whatever in practice. You can, be 100% and, do great on a bunch of things. But if you go into a game, like, it's nerve-wracking going to a game. Like, we may like show that we're confident and calm and collected, but it's nerve-wracking back there. And any game experience, I think, helps the most, regardless of practice and everything. So that was great.
And what's your relationship like with the other goalkeepers here on this roster with Laz and Gabby? You guys, you just said that with Amaya, you always bounce ideas off of her, and I'm going to assume it's the same with the other two.
Yes, we have fun at practice. We have a lot of fun, and we do the same thing. Like, Laz and Gabby are just both people that I can vent to. I'm like, oh, I hate that I just did that, and like same, and they'll just share the same frustrations, and they're great, and we both all just like support each other, and it's a really good environment to be in.
Yeah, that's great. Goalkeepers you guys are kind of in your own little world.
100%. We call it Keeper Island. That's what we call it. Yep.
Keeper Island with Kat, Laz, and Gabby. That should be. Yep. You guys should have a mini show. I'll talk to Randy.
We should. 100%.
That would be absolutely awesome. On Goalkeeper Island, what is probably the biggest advantage to working with each other with the three of them?
Well, I think the biggest advantage would be, we all are competitive, and it's a good competitive for sure. And we all just want to get so much better. And the girl that's under us, like, make sure that we're getting better. And I think it's the competition. It's like, hey, next one. And it's the encouragement and the competition. It's like a balance, and it's a perfect balance, I think, back there. And again, like if you mess up on a rep or if you don't get something quite right, like they'll show you up, but they'll also be like, all right, next one, like you got this.
One thing that I had asked Kate in the previous talk that I had with her and Leah Pace, which is also up on the Pittsburgh Sports Castle podcast, just gonna give the quick little shout there, is what was it? I asked her, what was it like, switching from Amaya to, Kat? And she said, listen, I would trust Kat with my life, and the other defenders would probably agree. So, for you, this is kind of, this is your first year starting. Obviously, you had minutes with those types of players. But what was the relationship like with your defense? Especially, I guess we'll start with the two center backs, Mackenzie and Kate. What was just kind of the understanding and communication like with those two?
Going off of what Kate said, I also trust Mackenzie and Kate with my life. They are my saviors. They have saved my butt so many times, and vice versa. We made a point to like kind of bond and, have that communication, before we step on the field so we can be really effective when we get into a game. They're great. They're really great at communicating. And we kind of all just set that expectation that, hey, we're going to put our bodies on the lines for each other. And like, that was the expectation every game. And I think we did that pretty well this year.
And then you have a really, really good left back in Adelie Palomo. She's probably one of the best left backs I've seen in college soccer. And I know there's a lot of people, when I was on the call with Syracuse before your guys' game with them back in September, their coach was like, we need to watch out for her. She's so good. She's already a youth Mexican international. What's it like playing with her and, just being able to, she's one of those players that you can quickly feed the ball to, and she's going to pass up a bunch of people and get it down the field.
Yeah, gosh, she's great. And I give all the glory to my defenders. They're a brick wall. They're great. But yes, Adelie is extremely technical, and she kind of has this level of composure that, instills confidence in the rest of us, and especially me, because I'm like, oh, she's got it. Like, this girl's coming 50 miles an hour down the line. She's got it. Like, it's going to be fine. So yeah, she's great. She has great communication, great poise. She's one of the hardest workers I know. And again, that level of confidence just translates to all of us.
You guys had a lot of young players come in this year. Randy, his recruiting has been youth, and getting some of these transfers. They're still young, like Leah is only a sophomore. So for these younger players, you have the best vision on the field. Who has probably surprised you the most? And what have you seen from these younger players that just makes you think, wow, this team is really special?
I think the one that has surprised me the most is Chloe. She came in, I'm this 6-foot giant, and she's this, I don't know, 5 foot something tiny girl, but she's buff. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how she's going to do in that midfield. She kills it. She dominates the midfield. And again, I have such a confidence with her. I'm like, she has the ball. Oh, we're fine. We're fine. Everybody get up. Like, we're good. She's, again, one of the most hardworking people on the field, off the field. She never gets tired. I will say she's always energetic. At the end of practice, there'll be a ball on the other side of the field, and she sprints over to get it. Nothing compares to her energy, and she was a big surprise and a good surprise. And I'm so excited to see what she does the next 4 years.
And I have to ask about her because she's really, Kate called her the face of Pitt women's soccer. I mean, what can't Amanda West do? And how much do you just love watching her play, and what makes her so special?
Gosh, so Amanda's my roommate also, which is such a pleasure to have her as my roommate. And we've bonded over this year, and she is such a good leader, which it just shows on the field, and everybody kind of trusts her and just is like, Amanda West, like, what can't she do? And it's so fun. And I know what she's thinking when she's on the field, and she loves the hate and she loves the competition. And so when she's going 1v1 or she's in front of goal, like, I can just see the clocks turning of like, oh, I got this. Like, who are you again? Like, I'm Amanda West. I'm going to go score. So she's awesome. And I think a huge just inspiration to the rest of the team.
And for those who are new, again, to Pitt women's soccer, I mean, she leads the program in points, and she's only a sophomore. That is absolutely crazy. The 3 captains this year were Kate, Dixon, and Amanda. For each of them, what is something that you took away from them? I know, like we just said, goalkeeper island is kind of its own thing, but of course, those captains, when you're playing with them, they are making their voices known. You're closest to Kate. Dixon's right there too. What's probably the biggest thing you've taken away from all 3 of them?
Kate, definitely, she's a strong character in the best way, and she commands the field in front of her. Like, I try and yell and like do my part, but she's like, nah, I got this. Like, I got this. And she just commands the entire field like a map. It's really interesting to see her, like, figure everything out and keep everybody organized. And like, again, really hard worker. And she knows what's going on all the time. So she has great eyes, and she gets on your butt if you are messing up, or if you need to step up, she gets on you. And that's great to have. Dixon, she just always made such a difference whenever she went in the game. And she is so incredibly aggressive and successful in the air, which is especially huge in the college game, I think. And she's really special for that on our team. And she, again, talks a lot, and she's just friends with everybody, which is, again, like a huge part of why I think she was captain, and so friendly, but also like gets on you when you need to. And Amanda is just a great leader. She's obviously a phenomenal player, and she's kind of the person that gets everybody hyped up at the beginning of the game. Like, she's in the middle of the circle, like, let's go, like, we got this. And we're like, yeah, like, Amanda. And so she's great. And we have so much confidence in all of them. And they were the great balance of captains and characters this year too.
We would be remiss to forget your utmost leader, Randy Waldrum. This is his 3rd season now with Pitt. He has done so much to really just, kind of change the program and bring it into something really great. What makes him such a good coach? Why do you love playing for him?
He is always just so calm, cool, and collected. He never loses his cool, really. He says it how it is, which is what we need, but he does with respect. And I think we respect him as much as he respects us as players and as people. And he tries to get to know us past the soccer, which, we all have a good relationship with him, and we just want the best for him, and vice versa. He wants the best for us. And so it's, again, that balance of just, we want to play for him, and we want to play for his reputation, and we want to like do so well for him. And obviously he wants the very best for us. So he's a great coach.
Yeah. And he's just honestly, like, he is one of the easiest people, at least on my end, to work with. He's so nice. He's so chill. He got me the job commentating the games. He's absolutely incredible.
Wow.
So yeah, he was just like, hey, we were on Twitter and he was like, hey, do you want to do this? I think you'd be great. And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not?
Really? Yes.
So, yeah, he's awesome. Randy is truly an amazing human being. There's a whole roster of people that we can talk about. Absolutely. But I'm going to give you some quick hits.
Okay.
Another freshman who really came into the mix and really asserted herself was Emily Yapel. What have you seen from her that makes you think like, wow, this kid's going to be something big?
Yes, this kid is going to be something big. She is so quick and so technical on the field. It blows my mind to see her work and just beating players left and right. And I'm like, how did you do that? Or she'll be in the middle of like 3 players and get out of it with ease. And it's incredible to see her work and to see her, grow. She's already grown so much this year, and I'm so excited to see her.
And another one who isn't a freshman, but she came in, and as we mentioned, she's still a really young player, is Leah Pace. First off, she has the best name in all of soccer because you can do so much with pace.
Yes.
Amazing.
Pace and West, like that's perfect.
Yes, and up top, the Canadian duo, it's perfect.
Yes.
Same question. What impressed you about her this year?
Also very calm, cool, and collected, and she can body anybody. She can take people on 1v1 and completely just succeed and get past them with no problems. And her and West, I think, work well, like together so well, and it's fun to see them play together.
Okay, we're done talking about everybody else. We got to talk about you now. So
okay.
this year, the attention's spotlight's on you now. So you played in 9 games this year. What game kind of sticks out the most to you? For whether it's a good thing that you thought like, wow, this was my best game, this was really good, and then maybe a game that was like, okay, this wasn't the best showing, but here's what I quickly needed to figure out to work on, and you made the improvement during the game.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting one, because I think my best game this season was at UVA. I love those type of games where it's just, all the odds are against you, and they're kind of breathing down our throats and kind of shooting and killing us a little bit, but like I thrive off of those games, and it was so fun to get like shot after shot after shot after shot and like deny. It just like fuels the fire, and that was just a really fun game. You're going against some girls who have like big names and big titles, and it was really fun to just compete in that game. And then kind of another game that switched it was the game right after in Virginia Tech. It was like, we had to win this game. We had to win this. Like, it was beatable. We were dominating the entire game. And then just in the last, 10 minutes, we gave up 2 goals. And I remember I'm like watching that again and again and again. And I'm like, gosh, that's just a game, the one game that everybody wishes that they could change and they could get back. But we fought to the end, and like, it was a proud game to watch. But yeah.
You had a little bit of an injury this year. I just want to talk about this to get it out of the way. Injuries are tough because it's not just physical, it's mental too. What did you learn through your injury, and what kind of mindset did you, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but what was the switch that you were like, okay, I need to help Laz out, and just what was kind of your process in doing so? Because you don't also want to be over her, hovering over her the whole time, because she obviously needs to do her thing and whatnot, but just I don't know if that makes sense, so answer it your will.
Well, last year I had surgery on my hand, and I was coming back from that at the beginning of this summer, and so that kind of set my mindset like, all right, I'm ready to go. Like, my thumb is fixed. Like, this is my spot to take. I'm ready to go. So I was really excited. And then this year I took a goal kick and tore one of the muscles in my quad, and it was absolutely devastating. So I was ready to finish out the season with my team and like just carry on what I've been working on. But like, as you said, there was no need to hover over Laz whatsoever. She completely had all the confidence in the world, and she did great. Like, a good thing that I think the coaches think as well is that there's not too big of like a gap between either of us. And so there was no need to like hover over her and like, coach her in any way. But I was there for like, hey, are you frustrated with this? Or like, hey, let's work on this for a little bit. I was just kind of like a little support in the corner here whenever she needed me. But there was no need to like get her motivated, and she could do that for herself.
For sure. Let's throw the injury away. But first off, are you feeling better?
Yes, I am running on my Alter G treadmill as coming up, so I'm getting better, which is great.
Good. That's good to hear, because we want to see you back in the spring and in the fall.
Yes, definitely.
In the games that you played this year, just from a pure emotional point of view, what was it like getting the start in these games? Working so hard to, hear your name being called out, coming out with the first 11. Just what was that like?
It was awesome. Just 3 years of hard work finally paid off, and it is great to hear your name and to hear the rest of your team's name. And like, it was such a good feeling to be with the team. Like, it's hard being left out. It's hard sitting on the bench, yes, and like, just the hard work paying off is such an overwhelmingly special feeling. And I love playing. I love playing behind the girls that are on the field. They're amazing. So it meant a lot.
What was the conversation like with Randy when he tells you you're going to be the starter for the first game, and then, so on and so forth?
It was honestly pretty casual. Like, I don't remember this like thing where he sat me down and was like, oh, like, you're the starter now. It was just like, okay, you're starting. Like, you got this. Here's what they're going to do. Here's what you're good at. Like, be careful of this. It wasn't a special thing, but like, inside I was imploding. I was like, yes, like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
That is so typical Randy. To just
calm, cool, and collected, as I said. So cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Randy just being like, yo, hey, Kat, you're starting. There you go.
Got it.
You got this. No problem.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, 3 years of hard work finally paying off. When you call your parents and you tell them like, hey, guess what? I'm going to be the starter. What was that like? What were your parents' reactions?
They were so excited, because obviously they can't really come to a lot of games in person just because they're all the way in New Mexico, and now with COVID, it was really difficult for them to see me. But they're like, oh my gosh, like, we're recording it. We're gonna invite our family friends over. Like, we're gonna tell your grandpa. Like, they were so excited, and obviously very proud, and great support, my family.
And like I told you, I jump around everywhere because I don't know how to keep a cadence. Why Pitt? Why come to Pitt all the way from New Mexico? Did Randy recruit you?
No, Greg did.
Okay.
Yes.
Why Pitt?
I definitely wanted to get out of New Mexico. I absolutely love it here, but you just kind of got to get out sometime. And I fell in love with the city. I definitely wanted to go into a city. And, even back when Greg was the coach, the girls in my class, they were all about soccer. Like, they loved soccer, and it was like a great environment. And obviously in the ACC was a huge, perk of it. But, once Randy came in, it was obviously very different. Like, it was, a completely different mindset that he instilled in all of us. And I loved that. Like, he was so serious. Like, he was like, these are our goals. And I obviously agreed with all of his goals. Like, we're going to make the ACC tournament, like this, and this. This is the players that we want. And I fell in love with every aspect of it, school, the city, and soccer. It was great.
Sometimes I was telling Leah and Kate this. Sometimes I have to step back and really think about Randy and his career for a minute, because he coached at Notre Dame for the longest time, won national championship there. And then I'm like, oh yeah, he coached the Houston Dash. He coached Trinidad and Tobago's national team. There's a chance he's going to be the coach for Nigeria as well. Like, I mean, he is just such an accomplished person, when he came into the picture, not did you have any inkling to go anywhere else, but what about, Randy made you realize, like, I'm going to be a Pitt Panther. I want to play for this guy. You talked a little bit about the goals, but just, what else about him made you realize, like, this guy is the person who was supposed to be my college coach?
Right. Obviously, his reputation was just outstanding, and I was like, wow, this guy's got credit. He's going to turn this program around. Like, I'm here to stay. But I actually called one of his past players at Notre Dame who used to play at my high school. I honestly totally forgot her name, which is kind of bad. But I called her, and she was like, I would follow Randy anywhere. Like, he was like a father to me. Like, I also came from New Mexico to Indiana, and she was just telling me how he just took her under her wing and, like, come over for family dinners. And I was like, that's perfect. Like, he's going to be just this great coach that wants to get stuff done, but he's also, like, caring about his players. So that really kind of led me off.
Yeah, that pretty much sealed the deal for you.
Yes.
So going back to Goalkeeper Island here for a minute. I love that phrase. I'm going to use it all the time now. I feel like this episode should be named Live on Goalkeeper Island with Kat Robbins.
Yes.
Yes, this needs to happen now. On Goalkeeper Island, we talked a little bit. You guys are in your own world. You do your own thing. When it comes to, training and stuff like that, can you kind of take me through what your goalkeeper routine is, and then, like, how you integrate that to playing on, like, in like a scrimmage or something, and then in a game with your teammates?
Well, we had a keeper coach, Riley, who went and got another job. Also miss that man. But now Ben is our keeper coach, and they're both very, I wouldn't say lenient, but they're open to, like, hey, what do you guys want to work on today? And, we'll have, like, I'll be like, oh, I want to work on crosses. And Laz will be like, oh, I want to work on 1v1 defending. And, like, Gabby will be like, I want to work on shot stopping. And, they're quick to come up with drills that'll help us. And they kind of know what's going on, with the players off Keeper Island on the other island. So they're kind of like, yeah, like, let's do this drill where we're doing this, this, and this. And then we can integrate what they're going to do in about 20 minutes with you guys. So it's a perfect balance, and it's nice to be able to have an influence on what we do in training, because I obviously think that's important. We know ourselves best and what we need to work on best. So coaches are great with that.
And then, in the game action, just why be a goalkeeper? What drew you to the position, and what's just kind of the feeling like when you're in a game, and whether it's, you're just kind of watching your teammates and you're seeing what they're doing, and then, you see a player from the other team coming at you full speed. Just why be a goalkeeper? What drew you there?
I'm going to be completely honest. When I was like, I want to say like 7 or 8, I was taller than everybody else, and my coach kind of just threw me in the goal and was like, yeah, you're tall. Like, go ahead, go back there. And I hated it. I hated goalkeepers so much. But, I mean, after like a couple years, it became more competitive, and I remember getting my first pair of keeper gloves, and I fell in love with it. And, like, the training, I loved going to training. I used to be a center back, actually, but, like, the second it became competitive, and I remember getting my first pair of gloves, and I was like, I'm going to keep doing this for the rest of my life. Like, this is awesome. I love I don't know how to say this, but you kind of have to be a little angry and crazy to some extent to be a goalkeeper. And every other goalkeeper I've met, Laz, a little angry and a little crazy. Like, we're all a little angry and a little crazy. And so we're ready to, like, take that ball to the face if we need to. We're ready to, like, put our bodies in front of people. And, like, we live for that. We live to, like, get beat up and to, like, save the game. I always like to say we save games. We don't win games. And I love the feeling of, like, just being, like, the last defender. It's depending on you. Yeah.
You know how they have some signs for dogs that say, like, beware dog? They should have a sign towards the end of the pitches, beware crazy angry goalkeepers.
That girl foaming at the mouth, stay away from her. You don't want to get near that.
This is Goalkeeper Island. You don't want to be in here.
We're gonna get messed up. Yeah.
You don't want that. No.
No.
To kind of look ahead for a minute, obviously, you're very committed to Pitt. This is where, you're going to be for the rest of your collegiate career. What's the goal for you afterwards? Is going pro something that you think that you want to do, whether it's and there is a follow-up to this after you answer it, no matter how you answer it, but is it like, do you want to stay in the States? Is Europe an option? Like, what's kind of your goal?
It's always been a dream of mine to go as far as I can. And Ben is even already helping me with that. Like, hey, this is what you need to do to be like an All-American and to get as far as you want to go, which is great. Yeah, I would love to play a little bit both in the States and abroad. My dream is to play somewhere in Norway. My family is extremely Norwegian. We've got like Viking blood, swear to God. So a dream of mine would be to play in Norway and obviously represent any sort of the states that I can.
That's really cool. Because usually people always say, I want to go to the FAWSL, the Women's Premier League. I want to go play for Lyon. And you're just like, I want to go to Norway. Why not?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Why
That's
not?
really cool. Go represent your Viking blood. Absolutely.
Vikings. Thank you. Yes.
The follow-up to that is, I'm sure you're familiar with the NWSL. And obviously, now there's going to be 10 teams this year. Goalkeeper is that position that there's not a lot of you guys. There's maybe there's 2 at the least, 3, 4 at the most on a roster. And then obviously there's only 1 starter. So where was I? What was I going to ask? I literally just had it in my head. I don't know. With you being a goalkeeper and just kind of the limited selection. Here we go. I know where I'm at. How exciting is it to see the growth of like the NWSL from going to like 8 teams to now 10? And then they're talking about Angel City is going to be the 11th team. There's expansion talks everywhere. Does it give you kind of a sense of relief that there are now more options than there were, honestly, even 5 years ago when you were in high school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It gives me a sense of relief in that, not for me personally, but for women's soccer broadly. Like, I remember 5 or 6 years ago, being a middle schooler, high schooler, and like I grew up watching men's soccer, and I was like, well, why aren't they showing women's soccer? Like, I want to go watch Hope Solo. Like, where can I do that? You know what I mean? And yeah, like it's so great to see, games on ESPN and like, news articles and Twitter and just stuff that we have deserved for so long, like women's soccer. And I'm so glad that it's gaining more respect and that we're getting more teams out there for, more women to be represented and to be, have opportunities that they wouldn't have had before.
Do you have a favorite team?
I don't think so. I really like Orlando. I know you're gonna tisk me, but I really like Brittany Wilson. She's the goalkeeper for Orlando, and follow her on Instagram. I followed her for a while, and she's great. So that's probably my favorite.
Well, that segues into a great question, and this was the question that I was so excited to ask you. Who are the goalkeepers that you look at, that you want to model your game after, that really just inspire you? I know you said Hope Solo, and I definitely know that. I mean, you're American. That has to be an answer.
Yes. Hope Solo has always been my number one. I've idolized her ever since I was little. She came and talked at the University of New Mexico when I was in high school. And I remember like I was crying. Like, I was so excited. And it was in high school. And I met her, and I still have the picture with her. And she is the most like dominating and badass woman I have ever seen. And I look up to her all the time, and I always want to like resemble her game. And now Brittany Wilson, I think she's awesome. She kind of helps out on like her social media pages with like confidence and the mental side of the game, which again, I think is so important for women. And I listened to her points, and I followed her, and I watched the games, and it's also good to like idolize someone like that that's really honed in on the mental side of the game as well, instead of like the physical and, being this buff, badass woman.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And I mean, Hope Solo is like the GOAT. You have to pick her.
She's such a GOAT. I mean,
she's awesome.
Yeah.
One of my favorite goalkeepers is Michelle Betos. So that's definitely a good one. And now my heart broke because like I told you, I'm Seattle through and through, even though I have literally no connection to the city. That's fine. But when Louisville drafted her, I was like, damn it, Christy Holly, you took her from OL Reign. Like, that is, first off, you ruined my mock draft. And second off, you took my goalkeeper. You don't take a person's goalkeeper.
I know. That's just on the shit list. Last thing to, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's criminal. You don't do that.
It is criminal.
To kind of give some back to Pitt soccer for some quick hitters, before we let you go here, to those who are kind of just experiencing Pitt women's soccer for the first time, why should they keep following you guys? What is your pitch to keep people involved with the team, even though there really shouldn't be one because they just should automatically be involved?
Yeah, obviously. My pitch would be, coming from me, I have been on the team since 2018 when we could not score a single goal or beat a single team in the ACC, basically. And now here we are. We are so close to making the ACCs and NCAAs in just a matter of 2 years. And we have immense talent like Amanda and Leah and Kate and Chloe and Emily. And it's so cool to watch them grow. And we have such a young team. And like, if, to follow us would be like following them and like kind of watching them, mature into these elite soccer players that I know that they're going to be. We're just beginning. Like that's my main pitch, is that we're just skimming the surface on this team.
And then my last question for you is just, what's your goals ahead of the spring season? Granted, if we have one, because you never know with COVID.
Yes.
And then what is just your goals for spring, and then for next fall, for like, what's something you want to work on in the off season, maybe?
Mm-hmm. My first priority is obviously getting healthy with my leg and keep doing PT. Kind of just being the all-star that I want to be, and getting, buff and getting speedy and getting, fit as much as I can. Even if we're goalkeepers, like, we still have to stay in shape. We still have to compete on the fitness level. And that's definitely priority number one, kind of going out of the spring and into the fall, is to keep that fitness level up. And then just kind of, connecting more with the back line, being able to distribute out short instead of, going long every time, or stuff like that, just kind of connecting more, getting a little more comfortable with the players around us. The new players, there's going to be, I think, 13 more coming in. So that's going to be a huge goal for all of us, just kind of getting comfortable playing with each other, getting the new girls settled in, and kind of getting some new leadership in there too.
Is there anything else you want to add about anything for parting words, I guess?
This is interesting.
The floor is yours.
I don't know. Maybe just don't overlook Pitt, Just don't overlook us, and don't overlook goalkeepers. We're important.
Yes.
There's one of us, but we're important.
There's one of you, and, it's life or death, as Kate said.
Yes, it really is. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, so glad that you're in Pittsburgh. Excited to have you on. I hope we can have you on again soon. This was a pleasure, and I wish you and the team nothing but the best, because you guys are awesome. And I mean, everyone, literally, it's not hard. Turn the TV on, support the team, shout them out on Twitter.
Absolutely.
Pump their Twitter.
Absolutely.
100% pump their Twitter. You guys are great. So I guess that's my parting words to you.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Thanks for coming on the show. It was a ton of fun, seriously. Well, everyone, thanks for listening to the show. That was Kat Robinson from Pitt Women's Soccer. And just to end the show here, just remember we are on Twitter at PGH Sports Castle. We're on all major platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, And be sure to check us out by searching our name. We're on Google Podcasts, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and of course Spreaker, where we record our shows. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the show. It helps so much, and your feedback is so important to us. Any reviews posted will help make the podcast more visible to listeners. And if you have any idea for podcast prompts and topics, feel free to reach out to members of our team at PGH Sports Castle on Twitter and just on our various Twitters to send some ideas along. Thanks for listening to the show, and we will see you next time.